Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carl Cruz MMA. Today we got a special guest for you. My guest is getting ready to fight on week 1 at the Dana White Contender Series. He's taking on Jimmy Drago August 12th. He is Mr. Ty Cole Miller. Ty, what's up, my friend? How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. It's awesome to have you on here. Some big news came out. You're going to be on the Contender Series after a great start to your professional career, going 5-0 in the regional scene. You're getting that phone call. You're getting the opportunity to go to the next level. When you were presented with the idea, was it pretty cool, pretty exciting from the moment you heard you were on the show?
Yeah, man, I was stoked. I mean, this is what I've been working for. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited.
It's kind of crazy when you look at mixed martial arts in this day and age, how big it is, man. People watch the shows, they watch the UFC almost every single weekend now. You have the PFL, you have Bare Knuckles, you have Karate Combat One, all these great shows. Very few people understand the life of a fighter. When you're battling it on the regional scene, you're not making millions of dollars yet. A lot of guys have to have that 9 to 5 job. You miss birthdays, weddings, Thanksgivings, dinners. You do all this, stay up late, wake up early, do all this day in and day out, just maybe for the chance to find a big show. You got yourself to a point where you're trying out to be in the biggest show in the world. But what's made you stick through all the sacrifices?
You know what? It's been the love for the sport, for sure, man. And yeah, that's I love going in and training. I love competing too, but I think my favorite part is honestly the training. Even when it's all said and done, I still see myself going in, training, getting rounds in, things like that. So yeah, it's my love for the sport.
I love watching you fight because of your style. I mean, I don't think there's a such thing as a boring Ty Miller fight. You go out there, it's a lot of pressure. You like to go forward and very deadly with those hands. Do you take a lot of pride in your style?
Yeah, I do. And you know what? I feel like it's tailor made for the UFC. It's an exciting style. It's a sprawl and brawl type deal. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I take a lot of pride in it.
You could do so many things in this life. You chose to become a professional fighter. What led you down this path?
It's really one of the things that caught my interest, really. One of the only things. I first got started in it with my dad, him teaching me how to defend myself. And it's funny because, like, I feel like no matter what he tried getting me to do, I would always throw a fit or start crying, at a young age. But something about hitting the bag, or hitting the pads, anything fighting related, I was in for. So, yeah.
During your time, fighting on the regional scene, you got to find a couple different promotions. One of the most recently, you got to find LFA, one of the main feeders to the big show. How did you enjoy your experience fighting with them?
I loved it. They've always treated me well. I feel like, they always tried finding me good fights and fights that'll help me get to the next level, and they really did that. And so did the CFFC. They helped me out a lot too. Um, yeah, and Fight World as well.
One of those fights for the LFA, always going to be remembered by is obviously that fight against Ryan Charlotte Boys. You're able to pick up that big first round victory. Looking back at it, man, what did you think of that performance?
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite performance to date. Especially fighting a guy like him. Like, to me, he was a really tough opponent. And he trained with a lot of the guys that were in the UFC, and he was part of a big gym. So I was like, I kind of got my hands full here, and I need to really train my ass off, be smart, and pick my shots well. And I was able to pick a good shot in there and knock him out.
Absolutely. So you're getting ready to fight on the Contender Series, taking on Jimmy Drago. Where were you when you got that phone call that you were going to be fighting on the Contender?
You know what? So this is how it first went. I was going to Elephant Butte Lake, and then my manager told me about a short notice fight in the UFC against a guy from Japan. I can't remember his name exactly, but it was on a week's notice, and they were trying to fill the card. And I accepted it immediately. There's no way I'm turning down something like that. He declined it, and it didn't seem like Sean Shelby was too happy with him, but he offered me a spot on Dana White's Contender Series. So, you know, I was like, hell yeah, that's the next best thing. And it's cool, man, because I feel like, I've been on the radar for a while now, and yeah, it lets me know that I'm doing something right.
Absolutely. The guy that you're taking on, Jimmy Drago, guy who's been made a big name for himself as well in the regional scene, already becoming a fan favorite, has a very powerful story. But he's a banger. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
Yeah, I mean, he's a banger for sure, and it kind of seems like he's been through a lot of tough shit in his life, and I know he's gonna bring that into the cage too. He's not gonna make it an easy fight for me, but I uh, I I've fought his style a lot of times, so I know how to deal with him, and I know what he's gonna try to do, and I just think that he's probably the best at doing that. But yeah, he's a great fighter. He's you know, really what stands out to me is his athleticism. He's a really good athlete. He's pretty explosive. He's pretty fast. So, when we start trading in there, I need to make sure I got my guard up, pick my shots right.
One thing I love about the Contender series is the matchmaking is done so well. I mean, it is very, very good matchups, and especially this one. You guys have a very similar style. There's not much moving backwards. It's a lot of throwing. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of going forward. We're doing this in a smaller cage in the Apex. Does this just scream fireworks all over it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we both go for it. We both want that contract, but we're gonna see who wants it more. And I think I do. But we'll see when we get in there.
Would you be surprised that this is either a 3 round dogfight or doesn't go the distance?
I think it's gonna be a tough competitive fight until it's not, until I knock him out.
For you, what would it mean to make it to the UFC?
Uh, it would mean a lot, man. This is what I've been working for. This is why I spend so much time in the gym. And I have a great partner, and I have a daughter, and I have another one on the way. And sometimes it's hard, man. Staying away from them, and I just want to show them this is why I'm gone all this time. It's for this. It's not for nothing, and I'm trying to change our lives with this.
You know,
So
one thing I One thing I've noticed watching you fight is when you're in there, man, you're very calm, you're very relaxed, you're very composed. Do you think that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
yeah, I mean, you definitely have to learn how to manage your emotions in the back. That's definitely part of the game. If you kind of you know lose control of your emotions, it's going to show in the fight. You're going to get an adrenaline dump. You know what I mean? And so you definitely got to stay calm in there. And what helps is kind of seeing my teammate Tim Means. To me, he's always kind of seemed like very relaxed in there, especially him being the longer guy, and when he fights in the pocket, he's actually pretty calm in there. And yeah, he doesn't get too worked up. So it's cool having a guy like him around me, so that way I can observe, see those things, and see how he handles things, and kind of you know use that for myself.
Is the Dirty Bird going to be in your corner for this one?
I don't know. For sure, John Judy and my other coach, Matt Priest, are going to be there as well. But Tim's kind of dealing with some injuries here and there, and he's recovering from a neck injury. So, we'll see.
Are you envisioning that moment potentially, after the fight, you sitting there with the 4 other winners, Dana White looking at you saying, "Kid, get over here, shake his hand and grab your contract"?
Yeah, every time I watch Dana White Contender Series, I put myself in those guys' shoes. You know what I mean? I mean, like, shit, sometimes you get, like, worked up and emotional a little bit just thinking about that moment. So, and it motivates me a lot, man. So I'm busting my ass over here, trying to get that moment for myself.
Absolutely. One thing I love about mixed martial arts, man, I've heard from so many fighters, they were going down a bad path. Martial arts provide them structure, guidance, made them the person they are today. They've learned disciplines, values from it. How do you think you've grown as a person through mixed martial arts?
I'd have to say it gave me a drive in life. Like I feel like growing up, I never got into much trouble or anything like that. I was a good kid, but I was lazy as shit, man. I never wanted to do anything. Like if I didn't have any sort of interest or care, I was not gonna do it, man. And but this like really motivated me and got me up off my ass and made me work hard and you know yeah, it's changed me a lot. It's made me the person I am today.
For you, what does it mean to call yourself a martial artist?
Um, I'd have to say, it definitely makes me feel, a lot more confident in myself and stronger and believe in myself. And if I can do this, I feel like I can, transfer that into other things and, excel well.
Absolutely. Before I let you go here, one thing I want to do is I'm going to run by some big UFC fights that are coming up, and I want to get your prediction to see who's going to pull out on top of these big matchups. So, we got a big one coming up next weekend. We got Renier de Ritter. He's taking on Robert Whitaker. Who wins this one?
Oh man, that's a tough one, man. I'm really bad at these. I think I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna go with Robert Whitaker. I think he's a good wrestler. He knows how to keep it on the feet, and if it stays on the feet, I think he'll pick him apart. But that other guy can take a shot. And he puts a pace on people. He's kind of a grinder. He knows how to take it to the mat, and if he can keep it on the floor, man, he get a submission. But overall, I think I'm gonna go Robert Whitaker.
Same division, but a championship title on the line. We got Dragus Duplessis taking on Hamzat Shemaev. Who wins this one?
Shit. I think I'm gonna go. I might go Drakus. I think when it gets in the later rounds, he'll probably take over. I mean, Hamzat comes out really hot, and sometimes he kind of starts to fade in the later rounds, and I don't think he'll catch him early. So yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Drakus.
All right, so for the last one, we're going to shift down to the 145 division. We got Gian Silva. He's fighting Diego Lopez.
Gian Silva. I don't think I know who that is, so I'm gonna go Diego Lopez.
Gian Silva is the one who just beat Bryce Mitchell. He's part of the Fighting Nerds.
Oh, never mind. My bad. Yeah, I definitely know him. Oh shit. Man, that's tough. I think I'll go Diego Lopez just because of he's gone against better competition.
We just mentioned some of the big marquee names. When you're watching some of these fights, big title fights, big fights on Saturday nights, do you thrive off that? Like, do you get motivation from these guys? Does that fire you up?
Yeah, it does, and the idea of me fighting alongside them as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, that fires me up, man. It'd be cool, like getting a win and then going out and be like, "Yo, Max Holloway," you know?
When you're looking at the other welterweights in the division of the UFC in general right now, are you viewing them as opponents?
Yeah, everyone in the welterweight division is on my radar. Uh, I just watched a guy yesterday. Um, he's the guy from Germany.
Dalutov.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, that's a guy I probably face if after Dana White's Contender series. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, everyone I see, I'm like, I'm probably gonna fight him someday. And I'm a fans of a lot of them, and I'm like, they're about to be my rivals.
For you, what's the ultimate goal?
I mean, honestly, to become a UFC champion, that's the ultimate goal. There's, yeah, I've just dreamed of that moment for so long. Of Dana White wrapping the belt around my waist, and so yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, a big part about being a fighter is obviously having that support system. I believe you have kids. For you, what is the goal? What is the message? What do you want them to take away from your journey here?
I just want them to know that you know through hard work you can find a lot of success in life. And I want my kids to see me working out in the gym. How hard I go, and for the duration that I go as well. And I want them to see all my accomplishments and think, man, I can be like that too.
Absolutely. All right, Ty, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome August 12th when you find the Dana White Contender Series against Jimmy Drago?
Knockout. I see myself knocking them out.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Ty, man, thank you so much for taking time out training camp. I know things are going crazy right now, but I really appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best, my friend.
Of course. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I'm Carl Perusa. He is Mr. Ty Miller. You can watch him August 12th. Dana White Contender Series taking on Jimmy Drago. Take care, fight fans.